to remind you guys, dynamic side selection, SKT have their choice in Game 2 and Game 4. That means they choose blue side. I was a bit surprised when we came to the arena that KT had chosen red because blue side priority and the ability to get Swain at first pick is the reason a lot of teams around the world looked for that first pick on blue side. So far, bans remain the same. I don't think you ban 3 junglers if you're KT because Rush needs the aggression. He's an aggressive jungler. It made sense to deny good picks into Olaf and then take the Olaf. But will KT try to roll it back, even with a very different jungler? Whoa. Interestingly, they do.
They absolutely are. And remember, Score did win back-to-back games against SKT on that Olaf last time these two teams faced, so thinking that if they do it again, he might be able to have that early game pathing that he's looking for. Azir going to be locked in this time. That's going to be the adaptation. As Score thinking about finding that Olaf for that second pick and is going to be the way. So once again, giving away the Swain, but now the Birdman goes to Yuko.
And look, it wasn't about Blank's Jarvan in game number 1. He was very capable, but he wasn't playmaking. It was largely about defensive coverage because they had fairly weak lanes that needed defensive play. They're going to roll it back. It will be the same jungle matchup 2 games in a row, you would imagine, when they lock in this Jarvan for Blank. And that means that Score is ready to go on the same matchup. I saw you wise-eyed a little bit there.
I didn't say anything, though. As Aatrox going to be considered, and the Korean fans having a bit of a chuckle about the fact that he has been hovered.
Now, running 2 games of Jarvan, even with the enemy jungler watching your Jarvan game, is actually one of the most flexible things you can do, Atlas, because Jarvan is creative. He can take any camp, he can gank at level 2. Your path in the jungle as Jarvan is not predictable. So of all champions to know that your enemy saw your route on, I'd actually prefer the Jarvan because of his flexibility.
Well, Camille now going to be considered here, and that would be the whole top side of the map picked up for KT. That is going to be the lock-in, avoiding that second round of bans. Means the bottom lane still yet to be locked in here for KT, and they just don't care about getting that counter pick.
It does seem like SKT. You know, you're first expecting to be a mid lane Karma, and once again rolling out the hyper carry come through for Bang, but it could be a support Karma, an old favorite of Wolf. So it is a flex pick, but your first thought when you see the draft largely rolled back is, hey, finding zones of control for Bang to pop off seemed pretty good in game number 1. Why not do it again? You're seeing the Ezreal band away, pricing SKT further into a hyper carry, 80 carry, and see how KT close out the map. They don't take a support in the first round, so it's going to be entire bot lanes constructed in the second round of the draft.
Yeah, remember it was Morgana and Camille banned away from SKT in the second round last time. The identical bans in the first round means that there is going to be a change. We'll see whether Morgana is going to be taken, given the fact that Camille was actually banned second round last time. So Ezreal, Tahm Kench, once again, Ezreal, Tahm Kench.
The problem for KT is that they don't ban Xayah. It feels like you have to take Xayah from Bang because Bang plays Xayah without Rakan. Banning Rakan does not stop SKT from locking in Xayah, but it seems like they're going to accept the fact that Bang will most likely go for Xayah as a stronger laning phase than Tristana and just accept it for KT. I wonder what that means for Deft's pick, as it is a big sacrifice. Deft's Xayah has been decent. He's 2 and 4, so the win rate is not there. Bang Xayah has been amazing.
It has. It's been absolutely extraordinary, but now we've got Olaf and Braum. So bottom side ganks, certainly something that can work out here for SKT, and maybe they want to have a rocket jump once again down on that bottom side for the disengage possibilities. They're at least going to hover the Tristana for a little bit, but the gangplank is going to be locked in, and looks like that is going to be support Karma. I got very confused for a second there. I was like, where's the pirate going? And it looks like Wolf is going to be picking up his Karma that he used to favor very highly, but it was a while ago.
So more zone control with the cannon barrage, and they seem to be really heavily considering rolling back Tristana. This would be a blind pick Tristana. This is a new thing for the LCK. Again, does happen around the world, but probably not something that KT was anticipating coming into this series. The high Tristana priority coming from SKT kind of reminds you of other teams who've had to ban Tristana against opponents. You think of Vitality in the EU LCS, teams against Liquid. Sometimes it's, all right,
wow, okay.
We're going super early game on the side of KT. We're going back to the Kalista, and they're trying to punish in the 2v2. 2 nerfed 80 carries, but Kalista's sieging is basically gone in the late game. It's now about playmaking. It's now about Mata having access to the ultimate there to make the plays from the Kalista.
And think about KT's Baron comp as well. It's disgusting. They've got Azir for massive damage and then Death for the secure. The turn is also great with the Glacial Fissure. Everything feels good for KT moving towards that Baron.
But with this sort of a comp, you're kind of packing up after 25 minutes. If you lose the team fight, so okay, guys, we tried, we lost.
It's like, Cal, yeah, you can have a go if you want to, but otherwise, we're out. It's done.
This game is all about the first Baron for KT Rolls. If they claim it pre-30 minutes, then you can vindicate the draft. If you lose the Baron, it is a decimation for KT. SK Telecom T1, they roll back to Tristana. It feels like the AD carry matchups are as far away from as prep as possible. Where's the Caitlyn? Where's the Kai'Sa? Where's the Jhin? They're all gone.
Yeah, where's the Jinx as well? I mean, Deft's been playing it a little bit in the solo queues. That's, of course, always what I want to see, but damn, it's still a spicy draft. And whenever you see Kalista locked in, it has nothing to do with Deft's Kalista. It has everything to do with Mata saying, just get on the Kalista, give me another button I can press.
Another game where you look at KT's draft and say, those lanes are pretty strong. The Olaf is set up to do things. Rush wasn't able to actually get down the vision or make the plays matter when he needed to in game number 1. Let's see if the wily veteran can do it in game number 2 with Score coming in.
Yeah, the top side of the map is going to remain the same for SKT, as well as that Tristana that was so good. MVP performance from Bang. Game number 2, guys, coming up right now. Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for this playoff match. KT fans crying in unison. SKT just so many in the Seoul East Stadium, which has filled out now. If you guys were wondering back at home, everyone turning up for game number 2. As SKT looking to put another nail in the coffin of KT, and KT trying to bring us to a best of 3 for the remainder of this series.
Oh, the fans. So excited to see it. Look, you can always plug it in. Every season, doesn't matter where they are on the ladder. People will come and watch the Telecom War. It's a name that goes around the world. Every League of Legends fan who watches competitive esports knows the Telecom War. And best of 5 is something that we're always so excited to see. The adaptations for KT from Game 1 to Game 2 are subbing in a new jungler in Score, but largely keeping it the same. They are going very much trying to double down the 2v2. As they're going for a late invade here, but I believe they were spotted out.
They were, and they actually saw the ward die there as well, so they know that they were seen.
Okay. They don't know Blank is here. He shows himself now.
Yep, ward is going to be down
there. Are we going to have a smite war?
That's what we're looking for, is Tal. He's going to move himself back. The reset on the blue buff means that no, that's just going to waste a little bit of time, especially from Score. It's now Deft taking about half his health bar, but trading it back in kind onto Bang, as Wolf has already used his exhaust.
And Score's still here. He's much stronger than Jarvan at level 1.
Yep, he's the referee.
He doesn't actually have kill pressure because he's going to run out of mana.
And there's a lot of wolves down here as well as Blank turns it around. Remember that first auto attack does loads of damage from the Jarvan.
The electrocute proc as well, and Score's like, well, going away with my tail between my legs. So turned around in a couple of ways there. The mana cost was also going to be a problem. No one wants to leash for their junglers anymore because it's all about getting to lane. When it's Tristana versus Kalista, was same story in game number 1. Score goes over to his red buff. Still will be able to use his passive to get attack speed. He's going to be very low on his first clear.
Yeah, I think it was all calculated. Papa just wanted to get himself low to make sure that his clear is as fast as possible. Does make some sense. This is dangerous. Always
it's one of those
scary.
things where I'm baited into thinking that it's Olaf level 1. He's got the axes. Jarvan's only got the flag, but the passive and electrocute ended up actually doing more damage than both Score and I expected. Turns it around, and blue buff finally taken as safely as possible. You can see that the health cost for both junglers is going to be felt more on the side of the Jarvan, and that's why Smeb's going in.
Yeah, and Smeb actually doesn't decide to use the hookshot to get over the wall where he possibly could have just grabbed himself a kill. But it does mean that the Gromp not going to be taken, and Blank this time heavily punished for his positioning in the jungle.
So let's talk a little bit more about why all this happened. If Score invades and goes for a 1v1 and doesn't die, he returns to his jungle, and if he's low health, he can still clear it because of the Olaf passive. So he's priced in to going for an extended contest. He eventually had to back away. He knew his clear would still be intact, his timing would still be intact, and then result for Blank is pretty heavy loss of time. His level 3 is going to be very delayed.
Yeah. Well, this time around, Score actually
Blank
gets
doesn't know.
himself in here, and Bro is yelled out from Score. Loads of damage as he's one level ahead. Lands the undertow after the flash, and now a couple more. He's just holding onto it. Doesn't even need it. First blood goes to Score in the jungle.
And this is what Score is about. This is jungle pathing. Even though it looked comical that he was forced out after the level 1, he follows the logic. He knows that the recall is on top side. You go where your second big buff is. Predictable stuff from Blank. Read like a book by Score.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And is this a look at what KT can now do, running Rush and Score interchangeably, giving Score this level up from the jungle? It's terrifying. The chickens are going to go over to him as well, and this is the kind of Olaf that you get legitimately scared of.
And this is great because it's theory into practice. We always talk about, oh, in the back, they're watching the games. We're only speculating. We can't see the players. But it's what always made sense about the Blank and Peanut situation. It's nice to see that theory go into practice. Score was able to use the information. It may not decide the game, but it's a good moment for the KT coaching staff because it vindicates the big risk of Rush playing in game number 1.
Yeah. You can see Tal up here towards the top side has actually opted in for Kleptomancy. So we've been seeing a lot more of the Grasp of the Undying, but Klepto is going to be picked up. Means that there is a bit more of an onus on Smeb to get more of this harassment down. Is actually ahead in farm by quite a margin, but have a look at Klepto. It gets a little bit scary when that lead isn't something like 35 creeps at 4 minutes into the game.
It's so strange because I look at that, and even in solo queue, you see almost no Klepto gangplank, unless it's someone who's just auto-filled into top lane. Basically, everyone is going Resolve because you don't have the Bandit passive, you don't have the other gold generation. I look at this and say, okay, why is he going Klepto? It's a decent matchup into the Camille. You don't die. You can Q poke and be able to do just fine when it comes to cashing up and pilfering the items. I look at it and say, maybe it's an incentive to force the enemy jungler topside and get Tristana more farm in the risky 2v2 bot side. So I actually look at it as a bit of a global taunt, looking in a Teemo by going for the Kleptomancy and saying, why wouldn't you gank me? I went Klepto.
Well, speaking of ganking, that's another undertow that's going to land. Score gets the smite in there as well. He's going to peel away as soon as he sees Swain moving on over, but Blank just can't enter his jungle.
Be happy to go for the steal. He used his summoner, so he has to be a little bit scared if he ever sees Azir half-step over, but we know the recall has come through from Blank. Heavy counter-jungling here. It's pretty reminiscent of the LCK Summer Final. You remember there was a lot of counter-jungling on Zax and a lot of denial in that series. We're seeing it here again. It's just trying to take advantage of the positive jungle matchup. We did not see this sort of play in Game 1 in the exact same matchup. But even though Score is not known for the same relentless aggression that made Rush famous, he's actually making the vision plays that were the problem. From Game 1, to me, the big missed opportunity for KT is they had winning lanes, they had preferential lanes, but they never got down deep vision. In fact, SKT were winning the ward game, and the vision score, which usually is not a very important stat to mention, showed that Rush wasn't very involved in either placing or clearing vision. That is Score's strong suit, and that's what I expect most to change in game number 2.
Well, you can see what Yukal's been able to utilize as well from this added aggression. He's got a huge lead in the mid lane, 17 creeps against Faker, and Faker so defensive in the item build as Negatron Cloak comes out as item number 1 up against the Azir.
And let's be clear, in the mid lane, Swain is not an overpowering force. He has decent wave clear for mid lane, great wave clear for top, but most of the meta mid laners have fantastic wave clear. Talia, for example, in game number 1. The Azir, even after the nerfs, in game number 2. Very much this is, we're taking advantage of a flex pick. I can be competitive against the Azir. I won't die because if a Streamer Shuffle comes in, I ult and I don't die, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. But it's only about safety and defensive posturing. The all-in, it's much later for the Swain.
Yep, still opportunities for Yukal, and the more fed Score gets, the more terrified SKT get as well.
Isn't it amazing that one game later, just with the change being the jungler, all 3 lanes are up in CS pretty significantly. And guess what? When the enemy jungler has no presence because wherever he goes, he's dying, it's very hard for your lanes to push up and look for those extra CS. You have to be more respectful. And rolling back the draft has gotten KT a 1,400 gold lead at 8 minutes.
Yeah, the really interesting thing to me as well is that bottom side of the map. It just... Normally the Tristana is picked into the Kalista as a counterpick. Well, always was, you know, as far as history was concerned. Slight nerfs now coming in onto both of these champions, and Deft is still able to play out that lane very effectively. It's still very, very close. But Marta exiting this lane at the moment, moving towards his blue buff.
But think back to that point. Remember that that's with equal supports. That's with both tank supports or both range supports. This is with a tank support and the Fate's Call to kill the Karma. So that was the last pick when they knew that bot lane was running very risky 2v2. A pushing 2v2, the Karma, to help the Tristana laning presence, other things being equal. But you include the Fate's Call and the all-in, and that's why the Callista makes sense in the 2v2.
Well, Faker's going to find Yukal, who will need to shuffle his way out. Actually gets into Blank and picks him off. So much damage as Yukal's able to grab that kill for the second one for KT. Trying to get out of the way. The flash in from Faker, who does have the Demonic Ascension, gets the Demon Flare and locks it in. Faker now trying to run away and score. Not going to be able to stay in here. The flash, he tries to get it. The Ignite goes down and Marta will just melee jump shot. Oh, the Inspire comes in and Faker isn't going to die. Hero play from Wolf.
Shield duration of all things saves in his top lane.
Smeb just gonna get soloed by Tal. What the? This is a Klepto game plank. What's happening?
We're getting Pandemonium. It's not done yet. Score poking around the back of the turret. They're not gonna get it. SKT. The top lane was the surprise. But Wolf bailing out his mid laner, old friends, and Wolf and Faker keeps SKT's hopes alive.
Yep, absolute disaster on the top side for KT, and it seems to have not stopped yet. Mountain Drake not going to be considered here from KT, as now Score needs to get back around his jungle, keep clearing things out as the dust settles. 1,000 gold is the lead for KT, but that is not how they wanted that to go.
Let's watch through what happened here. Yukal was fantastic here. He read the situation perfectly. They had the control vision, but Faker's just waiting to actually get the ult. The range was his only question mark. He flashed in. It's always going to be a 1-for-1. Then bot lane rotates first. When you have the Mantra Inspire, you can get there. Let's watch topside as we can't see the item lead as it stands now. It seems like Smeb, even on lower health, thought he could take the all-in. Watching the replay here. Just goes for the all-in, takes the damage, takes a turret shot. And the moment he took the turret shot, he realized he was burned.
Yep, that was the most instant oranges I've ever seen as well. That hook shot looked like it missed. He didn't. He just had himself a snack and killed a Camille.
What does this mean? Because KT are all about keeping up tempo. They never established enough tempo early. Got 2 turrets, that was the uptick for KT in game number 1. But then, of course, SKT won a fight, got Baron, and the tempo didn't matter. The tempo needs to be maintained. It's going to need to keep playing as they are, aggressively, taking advantage of Score's ability to 1v1 the enemy jungler. You've given up a couple of kills. Smeb's feeling a little bit silly about himself on how he played the top side. That game plan needs to hold true because they still have the Callista in the late game. They're going to be heavily outclassed by Tristana.
Yeah. Now KT moving themselves over to this Mountain Drake. They want to be able to take objectives. This is the perfect dragon to do so. With 4 men here, shouldn't be a steal from Blank this time. The birds turn up and they leave immediately. As Faker's just going to head towards the mid lane, try and get whatever shove he can. With this Abyssal Mask build that is coming in, remember the nerfs, meaning that he has to be in Demonic Ascension right in the faces of KT to really get anything out of that one, as once again, snack timing from Tal is fantastic.
Last half full story for SKT is, oh, we'll hold the point.
Yeah, Empress Divide comes in as Score turns up exactly the right time. Oh, Blank's here as well. They do manage to lock down the kill, but now will Score actually fall? Cataclysm comes in, but this is going to be a double for Yukal. That's a disaster for SKT, but at least they get 1 back.
Yukal getting both kills, pretty important there. He's going to keep pushing on him. Might even get the turret here. No rotation from bot side. First outer turret goes down. Credit KT, they kept up the pressure. And even in bot lane, stopping the recall timings from SKT.
Yep, Wolf not going to be able to do anything to Marta here as he's ahead. And that is going to be that. Red buff helps burn it down, and first turret blood solo gold going to the Azir is frightening news. Now, can Tal use this lead to try and navigate them through this mid-game is the question.
And the fact that he was able to engineer a lead is what we need to talk about, Atlas. Remember that Tal, against Smeb, has been able to stand up and engineer leads, been able to outplay Smeb. It's one of our queries that Tal was able to overpower QV. He didn't look great in the best of 3 that KSV played. He's had a tough season, has QV. Tal, with strong picks, has been able consistently to perform in a best of 5 against KT Rolster. That part wasn't to be taken completely on face value, but so far he's been equal to the task, and they will need him if they can win a best of 5 to be this strong.
Yeah, just so confident in the Gangplank versus Camille matchup as well. It's very impressive play out of the top laner. 800 gold is going to be the lead for the Gangplank. Kleptomancy always surprises me, Popo.
Well, you have to mention he also got a kill and 2 assists. So.
That is, yeah, well, I mean, true. But, boy, still a lot of gold at 13.5 minutes into the game.
UCAL also 19 CS, 3 kills, pushing up onto Faker, who's now in a short lane with low AP, so it's going to actually impact his wave clear after the nerfs.
What is that damage, UCAL? Vision of Empire not going to find him. Well, it does find him, but not going to do any damage.
You can mention the amount of games where Faker has been pushed into his inner turret and has no lane control in, what, the last 5 years? On kind of 2 hands, Alice. It does not happen very often. He won't often pick himself into a laning disadvantage or a wave clear disadvantage, but he has no control of the mid lane, whereas in this game, the Azir has a paddock to roam around. The ability to push in the higher damage build, and speaking of that paddock, he's going topside.
Yep, Bang Bros coming in here as Blank. Not a lot of vision around the area, and Score gets into this tri-brush pretty comfortably. But Deft should be able to grab this turret. No, actually decides a lot of respect is deserved by Tal. Moves out of the way. Will be another minion wave before that bottom lane outer turret goes down, if at all. Score. Cute little smite gets it away from Blank.
Huge lead. He's up 10 camps over the Jarvan. Also has more assists to his name. Or definitely has been premier jungler in the first 15 minutes, and KT have a much bigger lead than they did in the previous game. Like the rotation from SKT, who sack the 2v2 and say, we don't really want Kalista in lane that much as bot lane.
Yeah, Flash comes in, he's going to trade it, and there's the Glacial Fissure. Nowhere that Tal can go, and they're just going to smack him down. Score picks up that kill easily. Blank immediately trading, as well as Bang on the top side of the map. SKT trying to get the maximum out of this, but they know exactly what's going on. Can KT do anything about it?
Nice vision play there from KT. They knew where they were strong. They returned to it mid lane.
Okay. There's the Emperor's Divide. Faker will have to walk all the way around it unless he wants to use his flash, but he doesn't. Just going to get priority in the mid lane. Wolf's going to join him there as well, and it might be that SKT can take a lot more than they necessarily should from this play, as this inner turret takes no damage on the bottom side.
We're seeing an earlier recall from the Kalista. Doesn't want to stay bot lane to try to pack up. Stop this mid lane turret going down, but I think they might have been out-rotated there, and the Rift Herald will certainly guarantee that. So overall, while a kill went the way of KT Rolster, they should lose a turret here, although Score still in lane, waiting to see if SKT overstays.
Yeah, well, that boom from Shelly is going to easily take down the outer turret. Not a lot that KT can do about that one. Jeff's going to turn up and turn her into 25 gold, so he's going to feel okay about it. But 15 CS is now the lead for UCAL in the mid lane. Now we've got the objectives evened out almost completely. KT fans can breathe a little bit easier now. 3,000 gold is still the lead for KT, so they're not out of the woods just yet. But as this game ticks ever onwards, feels better and better if you're a fan of SKT moving to a 2-0 lead in this series.
Let's return to expectations, because you remember SKT took a better fight when KT should have been its strongest and misplayed it. It's bot lane. UCAL gets a lot of free damage on Bang.
Yeah, who doesn't have a lot of mana, uses the last of it to rocket jump his way out.
But in this game, if there's a 22-minute fight, SKT will have less damage than was available to them in Game 1. Azir was able to carry a lot of that damage output. Bang was able to get out of lane with a CS advantage. He's in a CS disadvantage. The Swain has gone a tanky build. It's 1-item, 2-item Gangplank isn't the stuff of terrors. So KT actually have relatively a stronger skirmish and 5v5 than they did earlier. Now, they still get to the same point to SKT. In fact, they'll have more damage as the game goes on than they did in game number 1. But they were able to come online about 5 minutes earlier than I say their builds and champions will allow them to in game number 2. So potentially that's more room for KT to choose the right fight and actually punish SKT's draft.
Yeah, when it comes to choosing the right fight, I think that one is imminent as well, as Smeb takes a lot of damage, clipped by the very edge.
Remember that Baron speed? It's looking 20% faster, Atlas.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Unless Blank is able to steal away this Mountain Drake.
Well, they're going to pull it out of the pit at least, as Marta's going to get knocked up. He might actually just be falling down here, as Fate's Call is going to bring him out. Deft saves his support. But it should be that SKT can get at least priority on this Dragon. Blade of the Ruin King used just to slow down the altered up Swain. And the reset on the Dragon means that KT get position to move back in.
Now,
SKT do not want
down,
this.
Remember.
Yeah.
Looking for the steal.
Yeah, Marta actually moving up aggressively yet again. Glacial Fissure goes down. They do grab the Dragon as Blank Flag and drags his way out. SKT want nothing to do with this now as Nevermove doesn't find the target.
Really tenuous stuff. SKT knew they were strong to engage after Marta was chunked out at the start. But then when Demonic Ascension timed out, they couldn't take a 4v4. That's some sort of a lead. They didn't have one. They back away. And it is double Mountain Drake and Azir Kalista securing damage to take this Baron.
Yeah, it'll go down extraordinarily fast. Blade of the Ruin King completed. Hurricane probably very soon for Deft here as well, who's been farming up quite excellently first 20 minutes of this game, and now going to go home and pick that one up. Black Cleaver will be there also for score, so item timings means that KT feels great about getting a very early Baron.
KT probably feels pretty bad about Score popping his ultimate and thinking the axe would interrupt the recall from Wolf. It didn't, so it was a bit of a zoning ultimate. He just went red in the face. He was embarrassed. It was a bashful Olaf ultimate.
Oh dear. Feels bad. Well, I mean, hopefully now, you know, he's got the Black Cleaver, 20% cooldown reduction. He's feeling better.
And he's gone for the Snowball build. He has not gone for Warmogs first. He's gone for Black Cleaver to facilitate more damage from Deft. I'm a fan of it because, like we said, you pick up the first Baron or you kind of pack up and say, well, maybe game 3 is our lifeline here. I like a bit more damage. I like KT doubling down around where their strength is rather than trying to paper over weaknesses.
Yeah.
I feel like in the European LCS, if there was an Olaf in this scenario, we might actually see something like a Zeke's Convergence instead of the Black Cleaver, just to amp up the damage on Deft even further. We're seeing it more and more diversified. Trundle item, Skarner item, now we're seeing even Olaf pick it up situationally, because you're often ulting in range of your AD carry and thus being able to pass over the Zeke's Convergence. But the Black Cleaver helps in the 1v1, and that was what Score allows himself with picking up that item.
Yeah, Hurricane not quite complete here for Deft as we have a look down the items, speaking of which. Marta has the Aegis, but otherwise not up to anything just yet. Let's see whether he's going to be able to hit his second item timing before the Baron is attempted by KT. Speaking of which, the Purple Worm now exists in that pit. Vision available here for SKT.
And remember that if you ever get Vision of the pit, which is very possible, KT have the ability to put down 3 control wards and say, hey, do you want to face check this? Remember there's the Swain W, the Vision of Empires, to spot out a Baron start. They also have a Trinket ward. They actually have the Gangplank ultimate. They have many different non-committal ways to check the Baron. So a Baron sneak is impossible. A pick into Baron, that's where the possibility is there for KT.
Yeah, they really want to be able to get themselves something to grab that worm, because it's what their comp is going to be relying on. Smeb moves himself back away from the very scary pirate on the bottom side, who's going Essence Reaver second by the looks of things. Tal just the greediest build possible because he was handed an early game. Now the Hurricane's in. Now Morellonomicon is done. Trinity Force there finally for Smeb. Things are starting to come together for KT, who will now want to try and get all of that vision control that you were talking about on this top side.
And let's be clear, KT don't actually get relatively stronger through items than they are right now. 2 items on the Callista. It's very much still her go time. The Morellonomicon gets just the most ludicrous value against Swain Gangplank on the side of SKT. This is where they are strongest. This is where they need to claim the Baron. If they don't get it in the next 5 minutes, it's hard to see KT Rolster winning the game.
Yeah. This is before Infinity Edge timings from Bang here as well, so it's just stacking up. Everything you look at points to KT needing to find a fight right now. Marta knows exactly what's going on. They find Blank, they jump on top of him. This could just spell the Baron, and it's going to be flashes coming out everywhere. Marta realizing that Winter's Bite landing could mean another kill, but now this could be it.
And this is the time they needed the pick. They get it. They're going to try and start it here.
Never move was nice there on to score, but SKT, not a lot of options. This Baron is going to get slaughtered.
They should put out the Gameplay ult first. He's actually going for the TP first.
Yep,
it's going to be interrupted.
Come down, interrupted all too easily, and that's going to be the Rend locking down the Baron. Flashes from KT, they all move out, and Deft is able to grab Marta as well, who was the only one without a flash.
Big mistake from Tal. Ult first, you know they're going to go on to Baron. They just Ramboed to try to kill your jungler. Went the selfish way, got interrupted. Now Smeb has a TP advantage as well. KT Rolster, just when they needed it, pick up the Baron that went the way of SKT at the same damn timestamp in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely glorious timing from Marta to move around for the flank on the Braum as well. We all know his Braum, absolutely fantastic, but that is just a timing play that Marta knew he could manage to accomplish. Now what can KT do with this Baron for another 3 minutes?
They've got so much Atlas. Their items are at their maximum power. Suddenly, Smeb is going to have a happier time in the 1v1 that was slightly going the way of Tal. Tal went for a teamfight build, going for Essence Reaver, usually IE next, going for the big chain-link barrel to explode people. Not as good in the 1v1 because what do people usually build against Camille? Sterix Gauge. That's far away in this particular game. So who knows, the right all-in, and maybe Camille can get the solo kill to really push KT over the edge.
Yeah, now Blank actually going to be spotted on this ward as well. The control ward not quite in range to pick that one up, as Yukal knows that he's very, very safe. hanging out here towards the top side. Even Undertow doing some relevant damage onto Bang, who's just clearing out vision. Is at least going to be able to do so. We've got Rabbiden's Death Cap possibly being looked for here by UCal as third item, foregoing the Void Staff, which is sometimes an item number 2 for an Azir. UCal just feels snowballed. He's going to be able to take down the last outer turret on the top side. That's going to be the first of potentially a few more here for KT if they can get their minion waves in order.
It was a straight-up mistake if he didn't go for Merlinomicon this game. Is maybe he can try and get the pick on Mata.
Yep, does throw the ultimate back in. They get on top of Blink.
No
He's the only target. There's a Cataclysm, catches the Braum, and that's going to be that. Wolf is able to pick up that kill. Faker off to the side, not going to be able to get anything done, but it's 2 kills for SKT, and the fat flash from Faker is going to get him out.
Big mistake there from KT. The Fate's Call was on cooldown, and Deft ended up also trying to spare the bluster of his support by walking up, but SKT rolled on there being no Fate's Call. They were correct. This will slow down the Baron, although slowing down Smeb is going to be tricky.
Yeah. Understands that if he manages to get that Q working for him, he's able to do a lot of damage on Tal with this particular build.
Interesting audio.
That was
I don't know if that's coming through on the stream, but very easy for us to lose concentration there.
I'm sorry.
Marduk lost concentration as well. That was the big problem for them, was they walked up expecting Fate's Call to be available. It wasn't after the nurse. Now at Drake.
Yep, ultimatum going to be immediately flashed out of from Smeb, who just wants to find Blank. Lots of damage onto Tal, who was in the front line when he doesn't want to be. Third Mountain Drake comes in as UCal. Oh, Blasco not going to be enough, and Smeb's going to be able to help grab that kill for UCal in the jungle.
And they'll keep pushing up. Faker doesn't have teleport on the Swain. Went for Phase Rush, Ghost Flash. They'll try and take objectives. Faker only going to be pushing. Nice pick up the bonus kill. And triple Mountain Drake, whether it's the Elder Dragon or the next Baron. KT Rolster basically sniffing the direction, and it dies.
Yeah, and the turret does as well, as that was a quarter of the turret's health taken away very, very quickly. Deft also can be able to experience the same amount alongside of UCal, so inner turrets falling bottom and mid in quick succession with the last 10 seconds of this Baron remaining.
Gotta admit, it does remind you of the games where KT would pick no frontline in a meta where everyone took tanks and get 3 Infernal Drakes, because they've definitely been helped out by the Drake spawns in this game. They can do an impersonation of a siege with Triple Mountain.
Yep, Drake hacks certainly working out for KT as SKT chasing after them. Bottom lane Jewel still feeling like SKT have some options. Looks like Rageblade could be coming in as third item here for Kalista, and now more of a scaling option does make some sense here in his hands.
Bit more lifesteal, gives you a lot of options there. We see it against very tanky comps. We're not seeing one from SKT, but if it helps them actually kill the Swain, they'll feel good about it.
Yeah.
A lot of health stacking coming through from that particular champion. While KT aren't able to get the maximum value out of the Baron, they still are able to take it at the right time. Grow now an 8,000 gold lead in the 1v1. The Sterix Gauge is just not going to be built straight up by Tal. So in the 1v1, I think Smeb does have all-in options to try to kill the Gangplank. So far, KT definitely in a relatively better spot than the kill score would, on first glance, indicate.
Yeah, the only defensive option that Tal actually has built up since we last saw him and Smeb fighting was that Ninja Tabi, so not going to be doing too much, and now Smeb has the Sterix Gauge for the ultimate Trinity Force synergy.
And remember that SKT, if KT aren't able to keep growing their lead, do have an immense teamfight team where the max damage barrels will zone, the Swain will zone, and the Tristana is soon to hit 3 items. There still is certainly light at the end of the tunnel for SKT, just like there was in Game 1. So that light is further away. KT are further ahead than they ever were in game number 1. But it only matters if they're crashing inhibitors. They're staying outside the base. SKT will still think that one team fight could turn around the game.
Yeah. Feels like the insurance policy is there for SKT, but sometimes just all happens too quickly before you can call your insurance company, and then the game's over. So we'll see whether KT can actually close this one out. Still waiting for the Baron. Minute and a half before KT can start trying to siege again, but as far as 3-item timings, this could be a new one for Kalista to look forward to now on 8.6 with that Rageblade now feeling a little bit different.
What I want SKT to do, what I want to see for them when the Baron spawns, is put up pretty defensive control wards, basically to the left of the mid lane turret, or where it would have been, and just have range on the Swain to allow him to non-committally check with the W. Have the Gangplank ultimate early and able to check, because KT just want to play around Baron, and SKT have 3 different ways from range, if you include the blue trinket, to check the Baron. So as long as they can walk roughly in the area with the Swain in order to check, it's very difficult for KT to sneak it. Now, they have a lot of Baron damage, they have a lot of Baron secure, but most practice teams will peel off if they're ever spotted.
Yeah. Feels like a My Fair Lady reference, Papa Smithy. The range from Swain can really be a pain.
That's what the LCK fans come for, the My Fair Lady references.
Oh, I feel like I just don't really understand our demographic, because that movie is really old.
Do you understand that Score is an entire Black Cleaver ahead of the Jarvan?
I do.
That's
I watched him kill him at about 4 minutes into the game.
That part has definitely been successful. Blank is basically a Cataclysm and no more. I guess he's able to tank Baron, which is very relevant. I saw the NLCS semifinal. Warmog's pretty good.
Yeah, you're right. Quite able to activate it just yet, I don't believe, unless he's high enough level. Don't believe so.
Maybe. Jarvan's base HP is not huge. Level 12, I'm going to say no. Maybe 13 or 14, though.
Yeah, he's getting close-ish.
Well, wasn't able to spy the HP value he was on. We'll see him soon, I'm sure. Speaking of him.
Well, Score is going to find a double undertow and Blank immediately down to half health. He has to get the hell out of there, and we'll see whether it's going to start charging back up, because that's going to be a huge deal, and it looks like no. The Jarvan may actually need to go home.
It is really scary for SKT to give any free time. Maybe they just give up the Baron. They're going to check it's going to be too late.
I don't think they've got an option to give up the Baron, as it's actually going to be taken by the Azir of all people. Glacial Fissure isn't going to find anyone, though, and SKT are given a free way out of any subsequent fight. Smeb, be careful, buddy. No, he's going to be okay. Barrels are going to be utilized to try and clear out some waves as a Vision of Empire flying through once again. He's going to find an Olaf, and Blank is going to say, get me the hell out of here. Runs himself away. Defensive duty here for SKT if they can.
So much damage, they have to actually threaten death in order to stop the siege from being successful. I mean, the minion wave pretty fast, though.
Yeah. He's going to go down. Score getting himself into the front line. Even though he doesn't necessarily have defensive statistics, he is still extraordinarily scary. Has Ragnarok still available and can flash on top of anyone he wants. Still, relevant damage coming out of Bang. Static Shiv working out when everyone's grouped up like this.
So risky from KT. You can see how long it takes with them. Is KT able to threaten with just a Vision of Empire?
Yep. Decent positioning as well, keeping their health bars relatively high. There's the Zhonya's utilized by Def to release the mechanic, as that is a very dead Jarvan.
Well, that's what no items looks like.
I was about to talk about the Cataclysm and he was dead, I felt, before he even cast it. But there's another pullback as the flash has to be invested as well as the ult. And that's going to spell the end of the siege here for KT.
And that means that SKT do not lose their inhibitor turret, even with one member going down. We mentioned already, we outlined, siege incredibly poor on the side of KT Rolster. They're forced to back away, and, you know, one person dying and keeping up your inhibitor on the second Baron. You'd take that if you're SKT.
Well, Guardian Angel is now going to be completed by Def. That's why he had the stopwatch. And this is going to be certainly the win now. KT know exactly what this comp does, and it doesn't do a lot of winning the further this game goes on. Want to try and get themselves in there. Ravenous Hydra now completed for Smeb as well, so no Titanic for the Camille. He wants as much damage as possible, and as much of an ability to clear out the wave if he's fighting someone.
All about closing this game out before the constituent parts of the items that SKT need to answer KT are done. Infinity Edge done for Gangplank, big power spike. Swain, really only a zone tool, doesn't have almost any damage on the build as things stand. The Tristana, a Last Whisper or a lifesteal item away from really being fully online. SKT have most of it together, but KT have everything. They've got everything ready to go, but they have to break the base, otherwise you do feel like that pendulum can still cruelly swing towards the way of SKT and put SKT up 2-0.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that we can talk about is the Ardent Sensor now being completed from Wolf, so Bang is going to be slightly empowered, but is it going to be enough is the question. Still 40 seconds left on this Baron, but the wave clear coming out of the Gangplank, who has certainly been building purely so that he can kill things rather than stay alive. Means that it should be okay. Smeb deals with it though, and look at that damage onto the turret. Base broken, 2 places very, very quickly. The 3 mountains are playing dividends, the next one being the Infernal was certainly another thing going in favor of KT. Now inhibitor number 1 is going to go down. The bannered up minion is going to head forward. We've got another 15 seconds left on this Baron. Ragnarok is going to be popped as Bang gets so much free damage onto the Olaf. Smeb should actually get stunned up here as well, and he will fall down. Immediately dies now as Faker moves himself forward. Deft should actually get brought down to the GA, and he does right in amongst SKT. And now, he's actually able to do it. Picks up the kill with potentially the Rend as Marta actually grabs up Blank just as an afterthought, I believe. KT, somehow the messy fight is working out considering the fact that they got into the base and broke it open, and now Mata moving his way over. Doesn't have Glacial Fissure, but there's the Fate's Call. No knock-up to come down as Deft. You can't be taking barrels from this gangplank.
It's not what KT wanted. They didn't want to fight here. They lose their front line and have to back away. It going fairly even is a bonus for them. They got the big objective. They got the 2 inhibitors. There's nothing on the map for SKT to answer them with. This is really only about picking up objectives. The Smeb walked up. He actually used the hook shot earlier before the clip started to threaten and engage. They didn't need to engage. They needed to get out. So while it ends up being messy, the gold lead means they spare the blushes of the team to some degree. It ends up being pretty even overall, when KT Rolster would have been behooved to just back away.
Yeah, the Emperor's Divide was fantastic there from UCal in amongst all of that chaos. Make sure that Deft had every chance he could to get himself out. The sacrificial play from the young man in the mid lane for KT.
Item timing still super hurting SKT. Blank has constructed a null magic mantle on top of his nothing to basically, once again, only be a cataclysm.
Nothing.
It's a problem. I mean, Swain has now got a Leandri, it's a bit more, so Ludens, I should say, that's a bit more damage. But it seems like the front line is much more about the Zonias from Faker and the damage potential from Gangplank and Tristana, rather than just being a true frontliner. And that means that KT continue to push up, and SKT, they're on gank brush duty.
Yeah. KT, 3-man squad here on the bottom side. It's a 2-3 type push composition coming in. SKT not wanting to go up against the Camille and the Azir. The banner is going to help out as far as KT's shove.
Well, Tristana is going to answer it very easily unless the Unbreakable is used, and maybe that's a cooldown. Allows SKT to push up.
Yeah, like some sort of sandwich maneuver coming in here for KT. Smeb has a newly built Guardian Angel. Deft, of course, a few minutes before that one is available for him as well, and we'll see whether KT want to wait for that before starting any fight. As Rocket Jump actually going to get banged right in there as he starts off this fight. Blank could be in trouble, though. Flag and Drag was already used. He's not going anywhere apart from the Death Chamber.
Smeb.
But in goes Smeb. They want to find Bang, and they'll get him. The double kill comes in for Deft as he picks up the triple. Now Faker underneath the turret. He's going to die. Score is going to grab that one, and Bang knows it's all over now. It's a best of 3 as KT will be able to tie up this series.
Ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have a series on our hands. KT rolls it back and says, if we put in Score, we can adjust and we can win. And the difference between Score's performance and Rush's is the reason they win this game. Score absolutely dominated Blank, was able to prey on all of his tendencies. Blank was basically a caster minion by the end, not Flame. Unfortunately, could never get any of the farm. The rest of the team need to pick up the items in order to get strong. That meant nothing for Blank, and SKT blown away by KT Rolster's early game.
Yeah. And I mean, Tal did have a great performance. You're right, you could see a massive grin on Smeb's face, knowing that he kind of got away with being murdered in the early game.
What I want fans to appreciate at home is people will say, oh, Rush was the problem. Rush allows Score to have the information to play the style. They need Rush to be strong to make Score even stronger. And Score was able to tap in to the information and the extra time to prepare that Rush's performance made. It is a big story for Rush to play one series and then play in Game 1, but they have him on the roster to be their peanut, to be their Game 1 jungler. If he picks up wins, fantastic. If he doesn't, it allows the squad to win. It's a squad game, and KT Rolster and their squad got them that Game 2 victory.
Yeah, exactly right. It was just Rush going in, brushing all the dust off the map, and then Score has this fresh, clean, beautiful map that he can go into the next game on and just hunt down Blank and punish him at every single turn. That Jarvan did absolutely nothing in game number 2, and now what is going to be the adaptation? Are we going to see a side switch or are we not?
That's the part I'm the most interested about instantly is